Alright, hello everybody. Right now I'm going to be making a review about the movie The Expendables with Sylvester Stallone and Jason Statham. Alright, so first of all, let me say there's, a little bit of bloodness. I mean, some gore, some guy loses his hand, and a guy's head gets blown apart. There's a little bit of there's a little bit of language, but it's not too much. This is definitely not the worst movie I've ever seen. I'll tell you that. And it's there's some gore in it, but it's nothing compared to Hostel, so don't worry. If you haven't seen Hostel and you're squeamish, don't watch Hostel. But if you're a little bit squeamish, it's okay to watch this. I mean, my 68-year-old grandmother watched this movie, and she's still here. So anyway, let's start off by getting to the review. The one thing I like about this movie is all the stars. I mean, I don't know how big that this movie was filmed, the budget-wise. But if they brought in any more stars, then we need to roll out the red carpet because they got Jet Li, they got Sylvester Stallone, of course, they got Schwarzenegger, the former governor, the governor guy. They got Bruce Willis, Die Hard, and they even brought in Mickey Rourke, who has not really been in the spotlight a whole lot, but he's coming back. Got to give him a second chance. And well, I mean, it's kind of like an old car. This movie is. You got to turn the key a few times, to get it to start. I mean, so at times, it's kind of slow, and I mean, there's some mushy parts, but when the action comes, it's memorable. I mean, I would probably watch this movie again, but it's not going to ever be, at the front of my, shelf. If you're a, diehard action fanatic like I am, then you probably would be a little bit disappointed by this movie. I mean, you're going to be thinking that it's, action every single second, like a, shoot 'em up type of movie. No. It's kind of a, like, Mickey Rourke is, Mickey Rourke is given, life lessons, and he's talking, he's giving advice. Like, I expected them to be in the action. But no, he wasn't in the action. But I like the plot line. I like the plot. I like the way it ended. It was just like a typical Schwarzenegger movie. But there was a part in the movie that just seems like it wasn't there. You know what I mean? It just seems like that part of the plot was missing. And so it seems like they left something out. Like they should have done more of the movie instead of what they did. And let me see, how long is it? I forget it. I can't find how long it is, but I know it's only like an hour and something. It just seems like that they could have, they could have done a little bit better. I have, a little bit of faith in Stallone. He could have done, a little bit better job. But this one is a good one for to put out there. The performances were memorable. I mean, some of them were memorable, some of them weren't. I mean, the transporter, he does what he does best. He does that, martial arts, that he does all that, fighting stuff. And, Sylvester Stallone is, the shoot 'em up guy. And, they had a whole bunch of different, like, cultures, put in this. They had, like, the typical action movie, like the bad guy versus the good guy, and the good guy always wins. They had, some Western, in there. They had, like, Sly is carrying around a single action army, Peacemaker. And he's, drawing it, it's like a Clint Eastwood movie. And they brought in the martial arts, they have Jet Li, from, Lethal Weapon 4 and, the Mummy, and and they have some knife throwing, which is, a common thing that they do, in martial arts movies. And, they brought in some big names, and they brought in some, slightly lesser known names, but the important thing is that they did their jobs very well. And some of the scenes were a little bit disappointing. Like, there was one scene in the movie where one of the bad guys, the guy who's, bald on top, the guy who kind of looks like Jesse Ventura, he he was knocked into the flames, and ultimately then he was knocked out, and then he just kept burning. It's like, that's not really a type of death scene that is too appealing to me. I mean, I'd prefer there be a little bit more action in it rather than just setting someone on fire and punching them. You know what I mean? But Eric Roberts, when the time came for him to die, it was basically it was too easy. I mean, got a whole bunch of bullets put in him by Sly, and then just to make sure he died, the transporter threw a Bowie through his back, and the Bowie, by the way, belonged to Dolph Lundgren. And I mean, the death was, it's almost like that, sometimes, in movies they have, special ways for, the main bad guy to die. Like either he gets, thrown out of a building or, or something like that. And usually when you have the guy who's really tough, like the guy who got thrown into the flames, usually they'll have, like, he gets burnt, like his face, gets all burnt, or, his, or, he gets, like, something happens to him that hurts him real bad, like stuns him. But that really didn't happen. All he did is get put in flames and then knocked out. And, Eric Roberts, basically, when Eric Roberts died, it was just like everyone else, you know what I mean? And I like the plot line, but it's underdeveloped. They could make a second one, that'd be okay, but please, Sylvester, put a little bit more work into the movie. I mean, put a little bit more, like, plot into the movie. And I want to see Mickey Rourke do some of the action. I mean, because, he's, the Marlboro Man or whatever he is. But all he did was give advice counseling. And that's not what I came here for. I didn't come here to see Mickey Rourke, give advice to everyone. I came here to see everyone, fight. And on that note, if you are, an action, like, fanatic, this is probably not going to be your number one choice. I mean, I still like it, but it's never going to be my number one favorite. I mean, it might be my number 3 or number 2, I don't know. I wouldn't even call it that high, but, all in all, it's a good movie to, pass the time, and it has a little bit of action. They got some, cool weapons, like some weapons that I, like hardly ever even seen before. And basically on that note, if I was going to give this movie 1 to 5 stars, I'd probably give it like, 3. Like, somewhere in the middle. Not too good, not too bad. But I definitely note the missing plot. The underdeveloped story. Like, we don't even know where these people came from. So with that, I'll let you guys go and watch it for yourselves and post comments. Tell me what you think. Peace.